When you have a skin, hair, nail problem, it is indicative of global systemic dysfunction coming from serious root and soil problems that need to be identified. Because it's not only your hair that's being affected, I promise you, it's every cell and every system in your body. In this video, we're going to answer Abby's question, which is a wonderful question that I get so often. She's saying that her hair stopped growing when she went into menopause, and she's really struggling, so much so that her hairdresser, the last time she went for a haircut, told her she was uncomfortable cutting Abby's hair because it had become so thin and sparse and wasn't growing, that she wasn't willing to do it. And she's extremely frustrated. She says she takes hair vitamins, she sleeps on a special pillowcase, she uses very special shampoo and conditioner, and she takes extra special care of her curly hair. Where are my curly hair girls? Because curly hair is a little bit more fragile. It becomes knotted and tangled. But even if you have straight hair, if you have fine hair, even if you have traditionally thick hair, it can get thinner and sparser and stop growing as you go into perimenopause and menopause. So I love this question. Thank you, Abby. We're going to tackle this. So lack of hair growth, hair loss, sparse hair. This is a huge problem that is one of the symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem that you might have experienced, or maybe someone you know and love is experiencing. And as Abby pointed out, she talked to her doctor about this. Maybe you have too. And her doctor basically just scratches their head and doesn't have any answers for her. That used to be me when I practiced mainstream medicine as well, because we're not really taught about hair. And as a gynecologist or a GP or internal medicine practitioner, that's not really our main concerns. It's considered more cosmetic. And so it's not something that's focused on. But as a woman myself, I know how important your hair is to your sense of well-being and how good you feel in your skin, your quality of life, how you present yourself, and your confidence, right? We all know that for women and men, and also that it is very important. So let's dive into this. What is your doctor missing? So what your doctor is missing. So first I would say to you, Abby, that probably hair loss or hair sparsity, lack of hair growth is not your only problem. So I like to say, when I help women identify what's causing their hormonal poverty at any age, is you've got to get honest with yourself. And this is actually the first chapter in my book. You got to get honest, because it's never one health problem. And the reason why it's important to identify all the symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem that you're having is because if you don't identify all the symptoms, you won't come to the right conclusion about the cause of those symptoms. We talked in another video about how the symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem are actually the signposts pointing to the problem. They are not the problem themselves. So you've got one symptom signpost pointing, hair loss, to certain types of hormonal poverty, but what are your other signposts telling you? Probably, I would bet, I say that symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem are like ants at a picnic. There's never one, right? You're at a picnic. There's never just one ant at the picnic. You see one, there are hundreds more somewhere, right? That's just how ants at a picnic are. And that's how symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem are. But I find that most women get so hyper-focused on the one problem that's causing them the most distress at the moment, and they become myopic and don't see or talk to their doctor about the others. Now, there may not be any point in talking to your mainstream doctor about the other symptoms, because they don't have the lens that I've been taught to look at these problems and to look down into the soil for the root cause that's causing all the leaves and branches of the tree, or different ones, right? So one of your leaf and branch problems is you have a hair problem. But what are on your other leaf and branch problems, right? Do you have difficulty sleeping? Are you sleeping all night, but you're waking up and you're not rested? Or you want a nap in the afternoon, or you're needing coffee, caffeine in the morning, you've become caffeine dependent. Or maybe on another branch, you've got gastrointestinal problems that you don't even think are related to your hormones, but they are secret. They are. So maybe you're going to the gastroenterologist because you have irritable bowel and you don't know if you're going to poop 7 times in one day or not for 7 days, right? So these are all your leaf and branch problems. But what I help you do is go down the trunk of the tree into the roots and the soil. These are all the causes of all your leaf and branch problems, right? Because if a tree has a problem, the symptoms are going to be in the leaves and branches, but the cause is going to be in the roots and the soil. So your mainstream doctor probably isn't going to see it that way because that's not how they're taught. They're taught, what is the symptom? What's the diagnosis? What drug do I need to give? What surgery do I need to do? It's kind of like a reflex. Like when the doctor hits your knee with the reflex hammer, your foot kicks out. So you tell your doctor the symptoms and then they treat the symptoms, but they don't have a drug for your hair symptom, right? So that's why they kind of scratch their head and go, maybe your doctor has kind of looked that way at you. But what I want to tell you is, if you have symptoms, there is always a reason why. Do not take no for an answer and just keep digging until you find the doctor who can help you, who knows how to go down into the soil and the roots and fix it. So you've got to, Abby, identify, and everybody else, what are all the other symptoms you have? Maybe you've got a fatigue problem, a sleep problem, a weight problem. These are some of the most common. A brain fog problem, which we talked about in another video. Gastrointestinal problem, which we'll be talking about in another video. Maybe you've got a neurologic problem. Maybe you have an arthritis problem, joint problem, musculoskeletal problem. Every system, every cell in your body contributes to the whole. And I like to say skin, hair, and nails are like the canary in the coal mine. So, what do I mean by that? When you have a skin, hair, nail problem, it is indicative of global systemic dysfunction coming from serious root and soil problems that need to be identified, because it's not only your hair that's being affected, I promise you. It's every cell and every system in your body is affected by hormonal poverty, which increases your risk for 7 out of the top 10 causes of death, right? And you don't know this, and your mainstream doctor isn't possibly aware of this or telling you this. So gone are the days when you can just abdicate control of your health to your doctor and say, oh, they poked and prodded me, drew some blood, and they told me I'm fine, right? If that's all you're getting, what you're missing is huge, right? You're only looking at the top of the iceberg that's sticking out of the water and saying you're fine. But what sunk the Titanic was what was underneath the massive iceberg, right? And it's the same with your health. It's all the things you are not looking at, you are not aware of. So that's why I'm doing this, is to teach you and educate you about all the things you are not aware of. So Abby and everyone else with these hair problems, look at all the symptoms, get honest. And I help you with an inventory in my Hormone Bliss Challenge to really start reading the tea leaves and understanding what are all my hormone poverty symptoms. You can start with the hormone poverty quiz. That will give you a good idea, because even every one you tick on there says, she could be in hormonal poverty, which is very serious. And I want you to stop. I got to shake you awake to stop thinking, oh, it's just my hormones. It's not a big deal. Stop. As a woman, your hormones form the foundation of your health and vitality. If your hormones aren't right, nothing else will be right. And I know doctors have not taught you this. They act like hormones are some little accessory pack that just gives you the capacity to reproduce children. And what I want you to know is that that is a lie. Your hormones as a woman form the very foundation of your entire health system, how it communicates and how it functions. So if your hormones aren't right, your health will never be right. So it's imperative upon you to identify why you're in hormonal poverty and get to hormonal prosperity, because everything that you want happens inside hormonal prosperity, right? And so hashtag WWHPD, what would hormonal prosperity do? So you can start thinking about Abby and everybody else with these health problems. When you get your hair straight, when you get your sleep, weight, all these symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem straight, how are you going to spend all the energy and vitality that you have with hormonal from the hormonal prosperity that you create? Thank you so much for this question, Abby. Hopefully this has helped give you some insight into what goes into making healthy hair, that there is always a cause. If you're not getting the answers that you want from your mainstream doctor, you're not alone. It is not your fault. You just need to stop going to the hardware store for milk. They don't have milk at the hardware store. Your mainstream doctor doesn't have answers to these symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem. And I hope you'll consider taking the quiz if that would be of service for you, or join me for the Hormone Bliss Challenge so you can learn more about how to identify why you're in hormonal poverty and get out of it and get into hormonal prosperity. Thanks so much for the question, Abby. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, peace, love, and hormones, y'all.